Hello, and welcome to the July monthly meeting for RunJumpDev. My name's Tim, and before we get started, I just wanted to mention that we've got a couple of events coming up and stuff going on I want to let you know about. Right now, we've got the Kentucky Fried Pixels game bundle that our friends over at Game Dev Louisville Makes Games are running, and you can find that at bit.ly/kfpixels. It's 17 games by Bluegrass area, Kentucky and Indiana developers. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. That's bit.ly/kfpixels. Also, the Halloween VR experience that RunJumpDev is kind of collaborating on right now. It's going to be a Vive-powered VR experience. It's going to be at our convention this fall, LexPlay, and they're looking for help with developing and with testing. If you want to try a cool Vive puzzle VR experience, you can check them out at hvredev.wix.com/home, and they meet weekly, and they'll be looking for testers pretty soon here. And then we have LexPlayCon, our convention. It's kind of a micro game convention that we're going to put on here in the fall. At the end of October, 28th and 29th, you can find more information at lexplaycon.com. And so today we are happy to have Nick Warner as our speaker. He's going to tell us about the burgeoning world of WebVR. This is VR straight through your browser. All right, so Nick.
Yay. All right, hi guys. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, my name's Nick Warner. So here's the deal. So I'm a interactive digital artist, okay? And also I have a day job where I'm a web developer, okay? And so then something happened where the world was like, okay, cool, we're gonna combine all that stuff into one thing. And then, so now I have WebVR, and cool, right? So I'm gonna do like a very high level, kind of overview of what WebVR is and what we can do with it. And then we can dig deeper, however you want, if you have questions. So over here on your screen is this is my web browser. This is where I surf the internet, right? And this is where I do my job, right? Because I make web experiences, right? So it's just tabs, whatever, right? Oh hey, look, it's in 3D, right? Okay, so we've had WebGL for a little while, right? And it's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's right. It's WebVR. But something new is now we're taking the WebGL and then allowing all of our cool VR technology to talk to our browsers, right? So it's tough for me to show you VR stuff, so everything's going to be kind of flat today. But let's get started. So let's just drive over here. All right, can you see this? Cool. All right, so what's WebVR? It's a specification in development, but it's by the W3C. So that means it's going to be a thing that people are going to keep using. And, they're going to take a long time to actually standardize it. But look, it's already running in my browser. It's already running on your phone. So we're in a good shape. Anyway, so as a specification, what it means is it lets people that make hardware and sensors, that like your VR headsets, right? Your little controllers, talk to your browser and make it do stuff. Cool, huh? So people started working on WebVR in 2014, I guess, when VR started getting exciting. And Mozilla was behind a lot of that, and they still are. And we'll talk about them later. But so anyway, that's cool, right? But so what? Well, it's cool because it puts VR in your pocket, right? You have a phone, probably. A lot of people have cell phones, right? Well, if you have a pretty modern cell phone, it's probably running Chrome, right? Or it's running Firefox, right? So you have WebVR, right? Or you have the ability to pull up any web page and somebody can make a web VR experience for you, And so that's pretty cool, because if you have one of these things, this thing I got for free, and then I spray painted it to make it cool and golden, you take this thing, whatever, right? Slap it in. Ah, I'm in VR, right? What did that cost me? A cell phone, right? So that's what. What else? But okay, so because it's in my browser, right, I can do things like this, right? So if you're familiar with developing websites, right, and a lot of people use the internet and like to make web pages. Well, because it's a web browser, that means we can use all these cool web technologies that come with it, right? So like I can like inspect what's going on in this scene, in this 3D scene, right? So anyway, you see all these little colors? That's Firefox saying, hey, stuff's happening, So anyway, that's pretty cool, right? So I can use all my knowledge I have of like building web technologies, right? And I can turn that into, 3D experiences, games maybe, right? And there's no barriers, right? Because everybody's got browsers, and if you have access to the internet, now you can get to this this VR stuff, right? And you can host it yourself, right? So like right now I'm hosting this on like, one of my servers, right? But a lot of people can just, because it's just like a file, right? In some cases, right? It gets more complicated when you want to have like, persistent interactive kind of stuff that, if you move a box and it stays moved, and when you come back, it's still there, right? But if you want to do something simple, you can have a nice flat file, host that up on, the internet for free forever, right? So anyway, you can control your own hosting, right? Anybody can get a hold of it. So that sounds like it's pretty cool. So you can distribute to anybody. The barriers are down. Democratization, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. And you can share it, right? It's very easy to share on the internet. People love sharing, right? So, imagine, making a VR world and sharing it with a tweet, right? Oh, whoops, I got a new VR world, because someone shared it with me, or, you can go on to potentially go to YouTube, view everything in 360. So anyway, that's what's coming. Watch out. Let's move on, shall we? All right. Okay, cool. Do you want it? Sure. Where can you get it? You can get it on Firefox. You can get it on Chrome. You can get it on your Android phone. You can get it on your iOS. And I made sure of it today. I checked. Okay, so I have an Android phone, but I keep a iPhone around sometimes, and it runs awesome on it. It's running Chrome, but I was able to pull up this thing here. So and it works pretty good. Also, your desktop. So hey, guess what? All right. So what do you need to view this VR stuff? And what are your users going to need? Well, you can use your Oculus if you have Oculus. You can use your Vive if you have that. If you have a cardboard like I do, you're ready, right? Or all you need is a cell phone, and coming soon probably Daydream. You'll be able to use that too. So, so what's awesome about WebVR is that. Was there a question?
Can we interrupt?
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it.
I was just curious if what you used to build your scene, or did you just encode? Did you have some sort of visual?
We'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
The answer is no. The answer is no, and that's why. And I made this yesterday. So I put this this wacky 3D this wacky 3D world together yesterday. So you know, woohoo. But it's getting better, and we'll get to that. So so here's the thing. So you know, Oculus, it has controllers. The Vive has controllers. Daydream's going to have a controller, right? And they're all going to work through this. And that's what's cool about having a nice standard for the web, for the internet, is that you kind of don't have to care about what your users are. You know, they're at home, they have whatever they have, right? And it's going to work. So that's what's exciting. All right. Let's see what else. What else is going on? All right. So let's see. What else is going on in this world? Okay. So how would you like to get started in this? It seems pretty cool, right? You want to make some stuff, right? You know, I made this yesterday, right? Well, I use a thing called A-Frame. And A-Frame is a framework that was and is developed by Mozilla, the guys who make Firefox, to make this really easy, right? So WebVR is just like a specification, right? It just means that this is going to work with this thing, right? A-Frame makes it, ties the rendering and the being able to touch the hardware and having events and exposing all that to your JavaScript really easy. And they do it with a HTML markup syntax, right? So so it makes people who know HTML, you can jump right in because you're just writing. Oh, wait a minute, hang on. It looks like I forgot to put this image in for A-Frame. I bet we could fix that real quick here. So let's see here. We'll just go to A-Frame. We'll grab their like logo or something. Anyway, so A-Frame is pretty awesome. I totally check it out. You can get started with WebVR really fast. Well, it looks like they don't have a logo exactly, but they do have this little 3D scene here on their page. I guess we could inspect it and see what's going on here. Okay. So what's neat about this is I can kind of learn how they built their scene because it's all here exposed. You know, every object is right here. And it's in a very familiar syntax. So let's see. They've got the little A thing. Oh, it's logo. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's copy that. Let's just copy that HTML there. Let's go over here. Go back to our project. We'll just drop this in. All right. Oh, A-Frame. Okay. And paste. Oh, well, that worked out pretty good. There we go. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Oh, cool. I even got the animated clouds. Thanks. Thanks, copy and paste. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, so A-Frame is pretty awesome. And this whole scene was built in A-Frame. So hang on a second. So I used, this is the actual code. And I did do it by hand. So it was a little tedious, you know. But coming soon, they do have an editor that you can drop in, and I'll show you that real quick here. Maybe. Sidebar. Whoops. So this is what that will look like. And you'll be able to turn on, from any A-frame scene. This is like literally coming like in a week or so, right? So it's not publicly available, the editor, but yeah, it'll just be built into the framework, right? And so you can just toggle it on. Anyway, that gives you a nice visual way to like move things around in your scene. And you can see the frame rate. That's cool. Seeing everything in there, move your stuff around, and then save it out, which would be really great. Which is pretty cool. This is just a browser, right? And you can imagine being able to, have this automatically save, possibly if you set up your site, right? And so anyway, that's really cool. That's coming soon. Being able to visually edit right from your web browser.
You said this week?
So they're coming out with version 0.3 like any time now. So I mean, so much so that the thing's already available to like look at. So
How does sort of like exporting and saving and all that like actually putting that into the HTML document? Does that work?
What I'm guessing is that that they call it the inspector is what it is that they're just manipulating the properties or the attributes on the HTML that's there anyway. So it's like ready to go. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so that's pretty exciting. Oh, I lost my A because I refreshed. Oh well. Cool. Well, anyway, you get the idea. So anyway, so I made this yesterday, so I don't have a lot of the cool features on demonstration here. But in A-frame, you can do physics. Obviously, you can see, you can do animations. Lots of animations. I tried to max out my browser, but I haven't finished. Like, I haven't crashed it totally just yet. So, what else can you do? You can do shaders. There's no nice shaders here, but you can do some pretty awesome stuff with just writing shader code. And you can actually run videos in this, render video. These are all GIFs, so they're not actually videos, but you can play video, like a video source. Like if you have a video, you probably could run a YouTube, you could run the stream into the scene. There's also audio, so you can do spatial 360 audio. Because it's on the web, you most likely will, unless you're making a game or just a wacky art experience, you might be focusing on making like interfaces, like UI in 3D. And because this is a canvas object, that's what it renders to. So it's a thing in HTML that just lets you draw to it, right? But you can incorporate that right in your design of other flat, just HTML. So that's gonna be pretty cool if you want to have a nice box of weird, right? And you can also import Collada and OBJ files into the scene. I didn't do that in this little guy, but we can look at some demos in a minute that actually do that. And this is all powered by JavaScript too. So, a lot of these animations right now are using just some of the settings in A-frame that let you just specify attributes, and it just does animations, right? That's how I get these like rotations, I can animate all the properties on all these things, but it's also all exposed to JavaScript. So anything I can think of, which is pretty much infinite, what you could do with JavaScript on a web page, you can do right there in your 3D VR scene. So, all right. Well, that's nice, but what about games? You guys like games? It's VR. Yeah, what about games? So this is ready to go, right? You can make games now. There's not a lot of people making games in this, but it is on your phone. You know, you can do this. So there's nothing stopping you, right? Yeah, there you go. That's it. Go do it. But you know, we're a little bit limited by the power of our cell phones. From what I've tested, they run great. I'll pull this scene up in my phone right now just to show you. But it runs a little bit better than my computer. And what A-Frame provides also is this little button down here. And because it's a browser, it won't let me click it because it's a desktop browser. But you know, here's the same scene on my cell phone. Okay, see that? Can you see that? Yeah. So I can click the button there, and it puts it into you know, 2 cameras, 1 for each eyeball. Yeah, yeah. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. But now I've got, you know, I can make VR, you know, and it's that easy, and it runs really fast. Works great. So there's another thing. Have you guys heard of a thing called Play Canvas? I wasn't familiar with it, but I've learned about it because of learning about WebVR. But they support WebVR, if that means anything to you. But it's a JavaScript gaming framework, or a 3D. So something that would be really cool is that, you know, a lot of us are already making games in Unity, right? Wouldn't it be kind of cool to just, like, you know, click a button and have that on my web page? Well, you pretty much can. You can, right? So it's not as easy as pushing a button, but with a little bit of configuration, you can actually modify your scene just a little bit, change some of the cameras around, and it can actually talk to the protocols that are in WebVR, right? So you can do that too, right? So you know, you're limited by the cell phones that people are going to pull it up on, but you can do it, right? You can have that. But most likely Unity is going to probably add some features in to make that easy and automatic, you know, because that's what people want. So we're going to have it. So then let's check it. So I have another link over here that we should check out real quick. And where is that? Oh, this. Oh, okay. So this is itch.io. What do you say? Whatever. Game thing. People put games at. Oh, so there's no WebVR games. Oh. We could put a game on there. Anyway, let's go make some games, right? Share them with people because it's really easy. All right, so people are making games. Who's using WebVR? Well, these guys are. So NPR, Washington Post, LA Times, Amnesty International, they all have made really big, spectacular WebVR stuff. So, and then I heard today that the Olympics are doing stuff in VR. You can't have it on the web though. So they're not doing that. So, not yet, but they could. They could, because all they'd have to do is stream their video, their 360 video or whatever, you know, right into this. And then everybody could, you know, watch that. So it's pretty cool. I mean, these are pretty high profile, you know, it's, you know, mostly news organizations, you know, but they know, you know, how to use media. So, but those are there, they're up, and we'll take a look at them here in a second. Yeah, there we go. Look, it's time for demos. You want to see some demos of stuff? Yeah? Cool. All right. Let's look at the simple stuff first. Oh, here's an obligatory roller coaster.
Oh.
That's not true what it says up there. This was made like, I don't know, a year ago or something. This is like a demo from the 3GS people, and I think it's, or maybe the Chrome people made it. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't support WebVR, whatever. Let's look at a better example. Oh. This is an A-frame. Let's see, kind of look around. Yeah. Oh, look, lily pads. I can't move around, but I can watch the ocean. That's nice. You know, imagine having your brand logo right there. Someone pulls your website up and your logo fades in. That's the internet. All right. What else? Oh, here's this is a demo made in A-frame of a scene, something inspired by Monument Valley, that game. It's like a platformer, guys. Imagine this on your face. Okay, did I mention that? So I am on a web browser, but imagine this on your face, okay? That's when it gets a lot more exciting. Okay. Okay, so you bought this expensive Oculus thing, right? And you can't find enough content, right? But there you go to the internet. Now you can jump around. So that's pretty cool. But that was made in A-frame, and we can, if you want, we can look at the source code, just like that, you know. So, you know, lights. What else? Anyway, it's pretty cool. Let's look at another demo. This is, I believe this is also made in A-frame. A-frame has a built-in asset loading system. While we're waiting, I can show you. And so if you're familiar with HTML, it's real simple and obvious that their asset loading system actually uses image tags. So you can just, in this little tag here, you just load up all the images that you want in your scene, and it'll wait until they've downloaded. You know, it'll wait for everything to be ready to get going. And it's just using the native browser technology. So I put a lot of images in this. They're all GIFs. Okay, is that loaded? All right. Oh. So I think this scene is, well, is procedurally generated, which is kind of cool. But this was also built in A-frame. Just imagine seeing your friends walk along with you on this web page. All the visitors on the, oh, there we go. There's another scene. Imagine all your friends in your Facebook group walking along this path together. Ooh. VR. All right, let's look at some cooler stuff. This is a sort of a 360 sort of educational experience that was made by Amnesty International. I'm not sure if they're using the A-frame framework, but it is WebVR. So I think this is mostly photos and video of Syria. There we go. But again, imagine this split screen on your face. So, but it's a pretty awesome way. Like if you have interesting content, you can now deliver it to people in awesome new ways, right? So this is a little bit more engaging than just looking at a flat photo, and this is very easy to pull off. And WebVR makes it super easy to implement. But there you go, Amnesty International using the. Oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, they have 3D or UI here, so pretty awesome. Okay, what else? Oh, these are going to take forever to download. Sorry. That's not bad. What is this? This was made by the LA Times. And this is a rendering of, we'll just explore, of a crater on Mars. Somehow they got the topography data. And this actually was made in A-frame. So drive around this crater on Mars. Let's see if we can fly up somewhere. Whoa. So this is what the probes do. What else? Oh, and if you actually go into this normally, you can listen to like an audio guided tour of like looking at all the actual interesting things in the scene. But this is pretty cool because this is just in my browser, and perhaps I was on the LA Times' website, and oh, news story. Oh wait, hey, do you want to see a 3D? Do you want to go into a 3D VR experience? Okay, sure. You don't have to go anywhere because it's right here. So that's pretty cool. What else? Is this fun? Are you guys having fun?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Yeah, so that's a high profile one. What else? Where's the...
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Can you import FBX
Sure.
files?
What kind?
FBX.
What's that? What's that?
That's my export of objects.
I don't know. Can you convert it to something?
Okay.
Yeah. If you can do that, then you're good. Oh.
I might be wrong, but they might be lacking some
Yeah.
types of information.
I don't think OBJ doesn't support a lot of what FBX does, but FBX, as far as I know, would not. It's also might be proprietary, but people support it outside of Autodesk. But I don't think OBJ is you could run an OBJ loader yourself. You could just get a text file of it and look how it's implemented and write a loader. FBX is all sorts of not so easy to deal with.
Yeah, and so like, is that format? Is it like tiny? Is it going to be?
That's the other thing. It's like, I don't think it's necessarily. It's pretty common in games if you're talking about games that are running on.
Yeah.
PS4.
Yeah. And the processing power on my phone is awesome, right? But I have to pay for the bandwidth, So, that's where I get sad. Right? So if you can optimize anything, just make it a tiny, compress it or whatever you can,
So you suggest for WebVR to make sure that the game objects used are small enough so folks who actually are experiencing what you're creating don't have to download a lot of data.
Yeah, they're gonna be really bummed out if they have to pay for that. Yeah.
I think, and I don't know exactly, but John Carmack said something about it, which got people to write about it. But aren't they working on some sort of free file format?
Yeah.
Like the JPEG of.
So I heard that too. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I mean, it's horrible compression every day.
Yeah. What could that like? So I have a lot of boxes flying around on the screen, right? And so those are there because of some markup, right? And those are, to represent that. It's not much. Well, actually, it's a lot for just a box. So I don't know. Are 3D formats like heavy with stuff that you don't need? Like,
I think OBJ is really.
yeah.
I mean, you can add some stuff, but you can pretty much just get the bare essentials of the font.
Yeah.
Vertices, nodes, and you can coordinates.
I get to use an editor to possibly do simple animations, but nothing great or simple.
Sort of maybe, right? So like so A-Frame's nice because you can have plugins, and people have written a lot of plugins, and I saw one plugin that helps you do like skeleton motion, that kind of stuff, right? So, it could be done, right? But you just might have to write it yourself, or but that's what's cool. And then if anything, the web development community is pretty good at sharing stuff, right? Like, here's all my code. It's all out there now. So, open source.
So even though it's open source, is it possible to create something that is closed? Like if you're going to make something that was like a paid release, is it possible to prevent people from just going in and copying everything you did?
No. It's a really good question. I don't just imagine saying the same thing about your website, and if there are ways to do that, I don't know of any, to protect, if you download it, it's yours. I mean, you can obfuscate it as much as you can, but so do that, I guess, right? Let's see if this loads. Oh, that loaded. Unity. The words are VR on there. Okay, so imagine this strapped to your face. Okay, so this was a project made by the thing was made by Mozilla along with Unity, just sort of demonstrating. Let's see if I can get this mouse. So this is a game. I can't see the. Oh, I lost. So, but anyway, this was exported from Unity, a Unity game, and would be in VR if you had it on your face. So, it can be done, which is really cool.
Just an example of one where somebody's plumbed it up.
I don't know. Like the plumbing that I was talking about was a bit more of a hack and just proving that it can be done, but and maybe this is just that, but I mean this is literally coming from Mozilla, so and I don't know how closely they worked with Unity to do it, but it can be done. Cool. I think that's it for demos that I've got for you. A lot of this is the best of. So, like I said, people have been working on this for at least 2 years, right? As far as specification and standard goes, but as far as people making really good stuff, it's not there. I have another link that I don't know if I saved it, but anyway, do you guys have questions? Yeah, give me some questions.
So how does the
VR? So it doesn't. Huh? So the question is, how does a scene like this, like an A-frame VR scene, work on desktop? Well, it doesn't. I mean, it works exactly like this. So you get a one camera
So if you had an
thing.
Oculus Rift or
So that's how the specification works. So the browser knows that you have an Oculus, right? And it knows that the Oculus has these certain buttons, right? And so the browser, in your scene, you can be like, hey, what's available, right? Like, is there a screen, Is there, one controller, are there two controllers? How many buttons do you have, right? And then you'd adapt from there, So if you're building your game, you probably need to think about, I don't know, maybe that makes you make the lowest. Maybe that turns all your games into these games, But or you say, hey, what do you got, Oculus? And you can go in like that, This is for Oculus, or this is a whole nother mode for something else. But that's what's cool about it, is that it knows, right? And it exposes all that stuff to you, right? So does that answer the question? Cool.
So I have a question. So as soon as you go to the website, it's able to get access to the gyroscope and all the parts of the hardware of the phone itself?
Sort of. So the gyroscope isn't specific to the WebVR stuff, right? But like that comes through like another protocol, right? But yeah, but with phones they're simpler, right? So like and this is going to be in code, right? It's going to be like, hey, code, what's available, right? And your phone's going to be like screen, and it's going to know the orientation, right? So oh, okay, it's sideways, cool. And then it's up to you to be like, do I need to present two different cameras? A-frame makes that easy and default, that if you turn it this way, it's going to give you two cameras. You can choose wherever you want, but by default, that's what it does. In code, you can do whatever you want.
Good question from Twitter.
Oh, Twitter question.
From Eric over Global. He's asking, what's current browser support and how far is spec from 1.0?
Okay. I don't know. Let's look it up. So okay. So the answer is Chrome and Firefox. Nobody else supports it, but it's also supported on the phones. So if you have Firefox and Chrome on the phones, you're good, right? If you have it on the desktop, you're good. If you have Safari, or if you have Edge, or if you have Opera, or if you have other stuff, if you have Explorer, it's not going to work, because they didn't build that yet, but they can. It also works on the Samsung browser. If you have that. I haven't used the Samsung browser ever, but WebGL or WebVR works on Samsung browser. They did that. So if you have that phone, you're good. Yes. Question.
So I see that there's an icon to switch it into VR mode.
Yes.
Is it always by default not in VR mode and you switch it in, or is there something where you can look and say, oh, do they have something plugged in?
Yeah, so because it's just JavaScript, I can get events. Events can be presented to my page, by all the different things happening, like, oh, a device comes on, right? Or, they turned it sideways, right? I can get those events. So it's up to you. You can choose. Is that the question? Is that the answer?
Yeah, It was
you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
You can seamlessly move between sites without ever breaking the being in VR. I mean, I can see why you don't want to do that, because about having the device plugged in but not on the face.
Yeah.
Immediately on VR.
Sure. So the only difference between VR mode and not VR is that it just splits the screen, right? and has 2 cameras, and that's just the default setting on using A-frame. Okay, so if you're not using A-frame, it's a little bit more up to you to do a lot of stuff like render things, like that stuff. But you can say, hey, A-frame, always show 2 cameras, always show 2 cameras, or don't show that button, I think, by default they show the button just to tease you. Oh, you could be wearing a headset right now. Okay. Yeah, you can do anything you want. So, oh, I said WebGL. Whoops. What are we doing? All right. How about this
Support for it.
first one? Who knows? It could be decades before they finish it, but it's close enough, right? And you have enough people like Google and Mozilla and those other people that make VR devices like Facebook, right? Who, Facebook's on the internet, so they might be interested in providing VR experiences. So, you got some big players trying to push this along, and it's going to happen.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have to wait for every object that's in the scene to load up before anything is shown for WebVR, or that's like a regular web page? You can see some things, but also something's loaded in the background.
So sort of. Okay. So, and this is more specific to A-frame. So, because A-frame is what does a lot of this magic, and taking the protocol and then giving me a scene, right? That I don't have to think about all the specifics of VR. So with A-frame, you can choose to be like, hey, yeah, just load everything. Just start getting the objects into the 3D space, right? And if you're waiting for your video to download, or all 20 GIFs that I have on here, you can make the user wait. You could hide this whole thing. You could put a nice bloating progress bar. So, and when it's ready, it'll tell you, and then you can do whatever you want to it, right? So, but that's all specific to A-frame, the framework. Yeah.
You said A-frame's editor should be coming out soon, with a newer version, like a couple weeks or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, I placed all this by hand, right? And by hand, that means I changed the little numbers in 3D space until my object was where I wanted to put it. So it took a little while, right? But you can imagine just dragging your stuff around, and then, maybe I might have a prettier scene. But anyway, that'll be coming soon, and make things a lot easier for pretty much anybody, because that's the kind of interface that you can jump into. Anybody can start dragging stuff around and making, VR sculptures on the internet. Yeah.
So there's also a site called Visor, and it's blog because I'm at it, but it's really cool because it's all WebVR.
Yeah.
Their whole thing, I think, is they're kind of doing it so it's visual node programming, but it's got some pretty cool examples of things running and like using all the WebVR stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe don't use it. I have no idea.
Yeah, and so that's what's really exciting, is that because it's the internet, you can plug all these together, right? So, I can make anything in the scene clickable, and it can take me to another scene, right? And so then now I can just keep clicking and stay in VR forever, because people are going to infinitely make content for this. And if you keep stringing it together, then you've got a little metaverse there, right? Yeah, you've got a nice metaverse web ring. And really, the first thing I thought of is, when I got into this, maybe a couple months ago, was like, okay, I need to make an editor, right? And so I started making like a multiplayer kind of thing, right? So anybody hitting this page, you'd then also see them in space. So it's not running right now, so sorry, this is a bad demo. But immediately I was like, okay, yeah, we need to be able to throw objects on there. They need to persist, so that when I log off, it's still there. And we're gonna have things like that very soon,
So you're currently working on that?
Yeah, and it was really easy. It was really easy using this, right? Because I know how to make websites that store data and, can throw data back and forth to the browser fast enough that you can see it, someone else run by, right? So, I mean, that kind of web technology is, that's easy and it happens all the time, right? So that plus now being able to make 3D scenes really easily means I can make multiplayer games that persist if I want, it's nuts, right? And so anyway, that was, we're in a good place here with things. So
what would you recommend for somebody starting out in WebVR?
Yeah.
Would you recommend them actually having a understanding of HTML?
If you're using A-frame, it helps, right? Because that's what the markup is. That's like the representation of the stuff in your scene is in HTML. So that helps, and the barrier is pretty low because it's, there's a lot of resources for learning that. Having a visual editor helps too, right? So, that being a thing that's built into the framework means that you're going to be able to, visually change your scene up, and you can probably create pretty fast that way. So that's probably a good place to start, is dealing with that and learning HTML if you want. And so, yeah.
Is the performance decent? Like,
It's insane how good it works. So the worst device I've tried it on is an iPhone 5, and it runs better than my browser.
So
yeah.
Say you had like a really, really detailed scene. Would it take like a huge performance hit when compared to if it were running natively?
Yes. And I don't know which way to push it right now. Like, some things break, like some things really, make it stop working well, but I don't know what that is. It's all very, very random still, So like I was adding a bunch of animations. Actually, I had a scene much simpler than this, and I was just putting a couple animations on it, and it was just, killing my browser. But then I did something else. I didn't record what I did, right? But it was enough that now everything's functioning pretty good, and I can drive around the scene, and it's going pretty fast. Again, this is a GIF, right, being rendered, right, to the texture here. So, and there's, there's about 20 GIFs running currently in the scene. The polygon count's pretty low. What else? Yeah.
I'm sorry. What would you recommend as a limit for polygon count?
Oh.
I
I don't know. So I don't know. I throw stuff on there until it stops working. But the Mars, the landscape, I'm sure that had plenty, right? Yes.
Say I wanted tonight to do something in WebVR. Is there a, say, tutorial or something that would be a great place to just follow along, build something?
Sure.
Maybe break theirs.
Yeah.
All sorts of ways.
I mean, so you could pull up this page. I can send you the link, and you can fiddle with the code in the browser, right? So if you want to do that, you could, right? Might be easier to go to A-Frame's website, where they do have they have some nice examples. Woo, right?
Behind the wall.
Right, they have a couple okay examples here. Oh, this is a video. That looks cool, but this is just a 360 video. But I think that they have, you can go to, oh, getting started, right? That's a good place. You might want to just, you might, I'm sorry that every web page is in VR, but I think if you wait 2 or 3 weeks, it might be. I actually loaded up an iframe over here recently. It didn't go as planned, but I was able to render, you can render HTML as text or as a texture in A-Frame. Like there's a plugin that lets you, hey, okay, take this bunch of HTML, render it as a texture on the thing, right? And I actually pulled up an iframe of some other website in the scene. So
Literally surf the web.
within your browser, yeah.
You can make an arcade machine in WebVR and then just run old school
You could.
games from the web.
If they're in JavaScript, yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, yeah, you can do that. Yes.
Okay. So I can just pull the web onto this iframe while I'm inside WebVR.
Well, maybe.
So what happens when I go to WebVR site on there?
Yeah. What?
There's a little meta there.
Yeah. What's going to be pretty cool is what it's going to be. Yeah. So that might not work so great, you know. But you can try, and you really should. What else? I guess that's it. But
Oh,
yeah,
they have a particle system in A-Frame?
they have a particle system in A-Frame. I ran out of time for throwing stuff into this. But someone wrote a plugin that lets you very easily, you know, put one line of an HTML line, you know, and called particles, right? And then you just edit the attributes of where's it spraying, you know, what texture is on the spray, right? And
So
it works pretty good. So
There's
yeah,
a big community of developers for A-Frame.
it's getting bigger. I think it's not bad, right? And you know, A-Frame is made by Mozilla, right? So they're given a ton of support, which is really awesome. So that helps. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Yay. That's us, guys. Right in the middle there. Yeah. Okay, so let's go make some WebVR games, right? It's easy, and you can do it. We can do this. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
All right. So this has been the July monthly meeting for RunJumpDev. Like I said before, definitely check out Kentucky Fried Pixels at bit.ly/KFPixels. That's the bundle of 17 Bluegrass games hosted by Louisville Makes Games. Really cool stuff. And if you have a little time to donate, hvredev.wix.com/home, the Halloween VR experience that we're putting on this fall, they could use some testers and or some developers and puzzlers. And if you want, look up lexplaycon.com, which is Lex Play this fall. That's our little gaming event. We'd love to have you out. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.